Good afternoon and welcome to the October 2022 safety meetings. We'll go ahead and get started with meeting expectations. Cell phones are to be on silent. Meetings begin promptly, do not be late, and do not leave early. No cross-talking, one meeting only, so if you have something to share, please share it with all of us. Please keep off-topic questions until after the meeting. We will remain behind to answer any questions, comments, and concerns. And lastly, please sit back and relax. Now for the serious stuff. If there's an emergency right now, how do you get out of this room and out of this building? Yes, you're gonna go through these doors. If you're going out the front door, make a left and go out to Pleasant Valley. If you're going out this back door, make a right and then a left, and they'll bring you out to the back. Circle around the parking lot, out to Pleasant Valley. Are you going to go ahead and use those elevators? No, stay away from those elevators. Right now, it's pointless. You just go upstairs. What about the maintenance shop? Are you going to run across the street and use that maintenance shop? No, definitely not. That wouldn't make any sense at all. So stay away from the maintenance shop. And why do we stay away from there? Things blow up. There's things that catch fire, and you'd be better off going up that elevator for no reason at all. And now to Cat Metro News Alert. It is that time of year. We have Halloween safety facts for you. Children are 4 times more likely to be fatally struck and killed on Halloween Eve than any other night. 18% of parents put reflective safety tape on their children's costumes. Only 18%. That means you have a lot of kids out there amped up on sugar and costumes that you can't see. Also, a lot of adults out there amped up on who knows what that we can't see. 12% of kids 5 years and younger get the thumbs up to go trick-or-treating alone. So if that many parents are making those poor decisions, what do we expect from those children? And 35% of parents discuss Halloween safety with their kids. And since these statistics are so low, we count on you to be out there watching out for them. We do not want you to be part of that 4 times more likely to strike someone. And for some more scary statistics, to bring it home again, children are 4 times more likely to be hit by a car or killed on Halloween than any other day of the year. Twice as many child pedestrians are killed when walking on Halloween compared to other days of the year. And over 60% of accidents on Halloween happen between the 4-hour period of 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. And since Halloween is on a Monday this year, that means we also have the weekend to worry about. So if you are out there working or out there having fun between those hours, please be extra cautious, be alert, do not become one of these statistics. And always be on the lookout for our little trick-or-treaters. Well, normally this would be the time I would torture you with some videos, but since you're not here in person, I am going to torture you with some videos.
Mike. Jack. John, good morning.
Hey, how are you doing?
How you doing, guys?
Good.
All right. I see a bicycle. I see a car. What's going on today?
Well, we're here on a great morning. We're going to do a little cyclist and car interaction and talk about how to be safe out on the road.
Nice.
Yeah, you do a lot of cycling, right?
Yeah, in the city, actually.
In the city, it can be a pretty dangerous place to ride your bicycle because there's so many cars around, there's pedestrians, and a lot of other cyclists. So you really have to be careful. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about today is how can cyclists be careful around the cars and how can the car drivers be safer toward the cyclists that they encounter.
I spend a lot of my time riding out in more rural roads, and it's still one of the things you keep an eye on because you're looking over your shoulder for a car. You have to pay attention to what's ahead of you.
Right.
So definitely looking forward to talking about this.
All right, well, why don't we start with car safety first? So you and I will hop in this car.
All right.
John will put his helmet on, and we'll head out onto the track, okay?
All right, let's do this.
All right. One of the big things car drivers can do, you always want to give cyclists at least 3 feet space between you when you're passing them.
Mm-hmm.
If you can give more than that, it's even better because you don't know what quick reactions they're going to make, and you also don't want to scare them.
Right.
The other thing is, quite often when you come upon a cyclist, they can't hear you.
Okay.
All right, so, Jack, we're actually coming up toward the end of our little course here, and we're going to make a tight turn around and head back the other way, which reminds me, especially when you're on a rural back road,
Right.
and you're coming upon a cyclist in a blind turn, you really want to be careful because there could be a car coming the other way. So the best thing you can do is just follow behind the cyclist until you get through that sharp turn. It can be a really dangerous situation when you might have to swerve over and now you're going to potentially knock the cyclist down.
Right.
And so even though everyone wants to get to their destination quickly, in that situation, just stay behind the cyclist until you get through that sharp turn.
So what happens in big cities when a driver needs to make a right or a left and there's a cyclist right next to them?
Right.
And maybe he has a blind spot and can't see them.
Right, so the cyclist has to follow most of the same road laws as the cars. But in that situation, obviously, first thing is you want to be aware of the cyclist. The second thing is if a cyclist is next to you and you want to make a right turn, you have to stop and wait for that cyclist to go by, whether they're going right or they're going straight.
Mike says to remember when parking your car or even opening a door, give a quick over-the-shoulder look to make sure a cyclist isn't coming your way.
What it sounds to me like it comes down to is defensive driving.
Absolutely. Defensive driving for the sake of the cyclist. All right. Well, how'd we do out there, John?
It was awesome. I felt really safe. We had really good positioning, so it was perfect. What do you say, Jack? You want to come out here and do some on-bike safety and see how we interact with a car when we're out on the road?
Definitely. I already got the car perspective. Wouldn't mind the bike perspective.
Fantastic. Why don't we take off?
Let's do it.
Okay.
John gives me my own bike and a helmet for personal safety. I also get a brightly colored vest to be seen better by drivers whether it's day or night. Finally, I'm given reflective clips to cuff my pants tight to my legs so the fabric won't get caught in the bicycle chain.
Oh, I'm pumped.
You're
John.
ready to go? I am too. One of the things you got to think about, always have your bike maintained, first of all. You don't want to just leave it in the garage and then come out and ride it. So
Right.
make sure you take it in and have it maintained. On bike safety, you want to take a look at your lights. You want to have a light in the front that either blinks or is solid, and you want to have a light in the back, a red light so that people can see you from behind.
Got it.
Also, you have to know your hand signals because the only way that you're going to be able to communicate with a car, Jack, is through using your hand signals.
Right.
So there are some key ones. Left hand out for a left turn. For a right hand turn, you could either hold your hand up like this, or you could use your right hand to point. And then finally, stopping. Since there's no brake lights on a bike, you're going to want to take your hand and hold it behind you so that a car can see it.
Ah, okay, perfect.
You know, one other thing to think about, Jack, is that you want to be aware of your surroundings. A lot of people ride with earbuds in. Not a good idea. You can't hear traffic. You can't hear a car rolling behind you. You may not even hear a horn honking.
So phone calls, none of that.
You know what? If you know that there's a phone call coming, pull over on the side of the road, out of traffic, get off the bike, and take care of that.
Sounds good.
So, Jack, you know, the first thing that we're going to do is practice the hand signals.
All right, I'm pretty psyched.
All righty, let's roll.
All right.
We follow Mike's car until it's time to take a left-hand turn. John says the proper way to make a left turn around cars involves 2 steps. First, signal your intention of turning left before moving in front of the car. Then, signal again to make the turn.
Hey, Jack, how'd that feel?
Felt great.
You know, one of the best things that you were doing, you were super distinct with your hand signals. For example, hard left out there when you're pulling out in front, another one when you're turning.
John and I head out onto the track one last time to practice keeping a safe distance from cars.
Never ride 2 abreast. Okay, you're going to be weaving in and out. Always ride single file. Give yourself a little braking distance between you and the person ahead.
All right, so not to the side, but to the back.
Exactly, right in behind their wheel. Second thing you want to think about is that when you're on the shoulder of the road, which is the safest spot, you want to look ahead, not right in front of your wheel, because you want to see if there's a pothole, or there's glass or gravel or a stick there.
Makes sense.
Think of it also this way. Car doesn't know what you're seeing in that area, and if you have to swerve out of the way, they may not be ready.
Right.
Now, finally, a car is supposed to give you 3 feet of distance. One of the things is, if they don't give you that room, don't try to fight it. Just take your brakes on, slide back a little bit, and let them go by.
All right, you got it.
All right, well, I think you've been doing a great job today.
Hey, thanks. Well, I feel ready, John.
Fantastic. Why don't we go out for a ride?
Okay.
As a professional operator, you must constantly see 360 to prevent collisions, especially with pedestrians and bicyclists. Pedestrians or cyclists struck by a vehicle could be badly hurt or killed. A fixed route vehicle weighs up to 26,000 pounds and a paratransit vehicle up to 13,000 pounds. When it comes to bus versus human, human always loses. In this lesson, we'll focus on procedures to help you avoid incidents involving pedestrians or bicyclists. In any situation where your vehicle is near pedestrians or bicyclists, make sure you follow these procedures.
Slow down and keep your foot over your brake. Reduce speed if you need to. Tap your horn to communicate with pedestrians or bicyclists in your path to make sure they see your vehicle. However, use common sense when sounding your horn near a bicyclist or pedestrian. If you sound the horn when you're close to them, they could become startled and might fall into the path of your vehicle. Allow ample room for them to be safe if you need to pass them.
Be aware of pedestrians near your vehicle, especially in the following situations.
Be vigilant at night or when weather limits visibility. Pedestrians will be more difficult to see at night or in bad weather, especially if they're wearing dark clothing. Be alert for pedestrians who may suddenly walk into the street from between parked cars. Always practice precaution and reduce your speed in areas where this may occur. Stop before you reach the edge of crosswalks and limit lines. This gives pedestrians in the crosswalk an extra cushion of safety. Slow down and be prepared to stop when turning into or entering a crosswalk, even if no one is in it at the moment. A bicyclist may suddenly come out into the crosswalk from around the corner and not be aware your vehicle is coming. Check to see where customers are right after they deboard your vehicle. Make sure your path is clear and your customers are seated before you drive away. Check your mirrors and make sure they are accounted for. Be aware of intoxicated pedestrians, especially when they get off your vehicle. Know where they are before you continue your route. They can be unpredictable and can slip into a blind spot without your seeing them. Be cautious when backing up and goal. Pedestrians, especially young children, may move across your path as you're backing.
It's important to try to communicate with pedestrians by making them aware of your vehicle and your intentions. Use these methods to gain their attention. Tap your horn slightly, but don't startle them. Try to make eye contact with pedestrians. Never assume a pedestrian will wait for your vehicle to drive by before entering a crosswalk. Stop and let them pass. Never assume a pedestrian can see your vehicle. They may be distracted in some way and not aware that you're approaching.
Pedestrians and bicyclists may be distracted in a variety of ways. Walking or standing with their back to the traffic. Looking in a different direction. Listening to music with headphones or earphones. Hurrying to get out of the inclement weather. Talking or texting on a cell phone. Wearing a hoodie that could affect their peripheral vision and their ability to see you.
Be especially alert when children are walking on sidewalks or playing near the road. Always practice extreme caution in residential areas or near schools. Always prepare for the unexpected with children.
Young children are especially unpredictable in their actions and can be impulsive. They may run into the street unexpectedly, perhaps chasing a ball. Young children may not have the skills needed to safely cross a street. They see traffic through a totally different lens than adults and may ignore hazards and take more risks. Children have limited attention spans and can be easily distracted. They also may have trouble understanding how to cross the street safely. Most children are shorter than adults, and it's harder to see them. Smaller children also find it hard to see above and around obstacles such as parked cars or bushes, so they may not be aware of your vehicle. Children have a limited perception of speed and distance. They may not be able to tell how fast a car or transit vehicle is going, or how far away a vehicle is from them. Children may not understand the danger of moving vehicles and may not know that a moving vehicle could hurt or kill them. Be especially careful driving near schools. Many children live within walking distance of their school or ride their bicycles to and from school and may be more relaxed about safety. Drive like your child, niece, or nephew or grandchild is playing in their front yard and could unexpectedly dart out in front of your vehicle.
Be very careful when elderly pedestrians are nearby. They may not be able to move quickly to avoid an accident, and they may also have hearing or vision problems. Be especially vigilant for elderly pedestrians when you're driving near nursing or retirement homes. Bicyclists are just as vulnerable, if not more so, than pedestrians in a collision with a vehicle. In addition, cyclists can move faster and turn quicker than pedestrians. Inexperienced cyclists can also lose control of a bike and fall unexpectedly. You'll need to be doubly alert for people on bicycles for several other reasons.
A bicyclist wearing headphones or earbuds may not be able to hear your vehicle and may not realize you're close to them. Many bicyclists don't observe traffic control devices such as stop signs or red lights. Be very careful in those situations. Be alert. Bicyclists may ride into the street unexpectedly mid-block or from other unexpected places or from a different direction than traffic is supposed to be going. Children riding bicycles can be very unpredictable. Give them special attention and plenty of room. Be especially careful of bicyclists riding between your vehicle and the curb. If a cyclist is riding between your vehicle and a row of parked cars, watch for a motorist who may pull out into traffic in front of them, or for a driver or passenger opening a car door into the path of a cyclist. This may cause the cyclist to turn into your path or fall toward or under your vehicle.
Always maintain a 4-foot separation between the right side of your vehicle, including all mirrors or other objects, and the left side of a bicyclist. If you can't safely provide 4 feet of space for the bicyclist when attempting to pass them, slow down and follow them. Wait to pass them only when it's safe to do so. Here are additional safety tips. Assume bicyclists may suddenly turn in front of you. When you're passing a bicyclist, always try to gain eye contact. Start with a friendly tap of your horn. Assume bicyclists may not see or hear you, so drive with caution to avoid a collision. When you pass a bicyclist, be aware that you'll lose sight of them at some point. As we learned, intersections are one of the most dangerous areas we encounter as a professional operator. You must be attentive for other vehicles, but also be watchful for pedestrians and bicyclists at intersections as well.
When you're approaching the intersection, scan ahead to check for pedestrians or bicyclists. Before making a turn, always rock and roll to see behind your blind spots. It could save a life. Always look left, right, left. Always cover your brake when you're near pedestrians and bicyclists at turns and intersections. Be prepared to stop. Pay special attention to pedestrians and bicyclists near curbs and sidewalks who might try to cross the street at the last second. Scan your mirrors while turning at 3 to 5 miles per hour. Check for bicyclists or pedestrians who may be behind you and between your vehicle and the curb. Watch your mirrors to make sure your tail swing doesn't endanger bicyclists in the street or pedestrians near the curb. When in doubt, always yield the right-of-way to pedestrians and bicyclists. Give pedestrians and bicyclists extra space on the roadway. Don't expect them to do the safe, correct thing. Always be ready for the unexpected.
Lives are literally at stake every time you encounter pedestrians or bicyclists. They are difficult to see, unpredictable in their actions, and most will be seriously injured or killed in a crash with a transit vehicle. The most common causes for crashes like these are driver inattention, failure to see and yield the right-of-way, and failure to control speed. As a professional operator, you must drive defensively whenever you're near pedestrians or bicyclists. Keep the safety of everyone in mind, whether they're on foot, riding a bike, or driving a vehicle. They are someone's loved one and part of our community, and it's your responsibility as the professional to make sure we don't cause them any harm. Stick to these procedures and stay safe. Let's take a moment and review some very important facts about illegal drug use. As a safety-sensitive employee, the safety of the traveling public is in your hands. Drug use not only poses risks for you, but it also puts coworkers, transit users, and the public in danger. Using drugs can impair your driving, which can lead to increased risk-taking. It can also cause changes in sensory perception, meaning that it may be more difficult to interact with and respond to the environment around you.
It's the responsibility of transit employers and those that work for them to ensure the safety of the traveling public. Drug use and abuse do not fit into this equation. Any employee who tests positive for any of the prohibited substances covered in this video will be terminated. This includes drugs that may be legal in some states.
Marijuana, for example, may be legal in your state, but is federally illegal, which means that its use is prohibited from all safety-sensitive employees. As we have seen, it all comes down to your safety and the safety of our customers. As a professional operator, it's up to you to be sure you're healthy and ready to do the job safely. If you have an issue with drugs, don't drive and seek help before somebody gets hurt. Let's also take a brief moment to clear up what may be inaccurate information. Some drugs, like marijuana, are legal in several states. This has led some to believe they can be used in all states at any time. That is simply not true. All these drugs are against federal law as well as DOT regulations, and their use is prohibited for safety-sensitive employees in every state. As such, anyone found using these drugs is subject to loss of license and immediate termination.
The use of CBD products, including oils, vaping, food products, drinks, or candies, is strictly prohibited. While these products are easy to obtain and legal to purchase, marijuana, from which CBD is derived, is classified as a Schedule I controlled substance under the Controlled Substances Act and is illegal under federal law.
Use of alcohol while operating a vehicle or in any facility is strictly prohibited. This includes over-the-counter medications that contain alcohol, such as mouthwash and cold remedies.
No employee should report for duty or remain on duty when they are under the influence of alcohol and his or her ability to perform assigned functions is adversely affected.
Per DOT regulations, you must not consume any alcohol products within 4 hours of your safety-sensitive shift or be under the influence of alcohol. A BAC of .02 or greater will result in removal from service. Simply put, don't do it. Anyone found to be in possession of alcohol or under the influence of alcohol while on duty is subject to loss of license and immediate termination. Use of over-the-counter medications are only acceptable if they are used as directed and don't inhibit your ability to perform your job safely.
Prior to using any over-the-counter medication, including cough and cold remedies and antihistamines, check with your doctor or pharmacist to confirm that it will not cause sleepiness, blurred vision, dizziness, slowed movement, fainting, inability to focus or pay attention, nausea, or any other symptom that interferes with safe vehicle operation.
Use of over-the-counter medications in any way other than their intended purpose may violate company policy. Use of many prescribed medications may diminish your ability to safely operate a vehicle. Consult your doctor prior to taking any prescription medication to be sure it does not have side effects that would compromise your safe operation of a vehicle. Please note, all prescription medication or any prohibited substances must be reported to the company immediately or prior to performing your next safety-sensitive shift.
The use of any tobacco products, including smoking, vaping, and chewing, is strictly prohibited while you're on the vehicle, with or without passengers on board. Use of any tobacco product is also prohibited in any facility except in designated areas.
Anyone found to be under the influence of any prohibited substances is subject to loss of license and/or immediate termination. Anyone designated as a safety-sensitive employee according to U.S. DOT regulations is subject to DOT drug and alcohol testing. As reviewed, the following are considered safety-sensitive functions: vehicle operations, vehicle control, such as dispatching, vehicle or equipment maintenance, and armed security. If you perform any of those four functions on a daily basis or in an emergency situation, you are considered a safety-sensitive employee. It's not based on your job title. Safety-sensitive employees can be tested for drugs and alcohol in the following situations: pre-employment testing, random testing, reasonable suspicion testing, post-accident testing. Let's take a closer look at each. Pre-employment. When you're hired, you're required to submit to a drug test. Some contracts may also require a pre-employment alcohol test. Employees will also be subject to pre-employment testing if they haven't performed safety-sensitive functions for any reason and have been out of the random pool for 90 days for FTA divisions or for 30 days for FMCSA divisions.
Reasonable suspicion or cause. You must submit to a drug and/or alcohol test if a supervisor requests one based on reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion means a trained supervisor or other company official reasonably believes you are under the influence of drugs or alcohol based on specific observations concerning your appearance, speech, behavior, body odors, or other observable factors. Part of a daily fitness for duty assessment includes that you are not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol. Random. You are subject to random, unannounced drug and alcohol testing. Post-accident. This is required if you are involved in an accident meeting certain criteria of the DOT agency.
A safety-sensitive employee cannot refuse a test. If you refuse a drug or alcohol test after a manager has advised you to submit to a test, it will be deemed a refusal. A refusal to test carries the same penalty as a positive test result and will result in your termination.
Use of marijuana is federally prohibited at all times, regardless of whether it's been approved for medical or recreational use in your state. DOT states that marijuana remains listed as a drug in Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substances Act, and it's unacceptable for safety-sensitive employees to use marijuana. Employees are also prohibited from reporting for duty while under the influence of prohibited substances, even if they have been legally prescribed. If you test positive, refuse a test, or violate DOT drug and alcohol rules, you will be provided with a referral to a substance abuse professional in your area as required by DOT and immediately terminated. All the details we have discussed in our lessons pertaining to our zero-tolerance drug and alcohol policy are covered in the Substance Abuse Handbook. All employees must have completed all drug and alcohol awareness training we have just covered. The acknowledgement form on the last page of the Substance Abuse Handbook must be completed, acknowledging your receipt of the handbook prior to starting your safety-sensitive function.
Our substance abuse policy applies to all employees and contractors when they're on company property or participating in any company-related business. Let's wrap up this lesson with a short review of the 6 areas we've covered: illegal drugs, alcohol, over-the-counter and prescription medications, prohibited substances, testing procedures, and substance abuse policy. That's an in-depth look at the company's zero-tolerance drug and alcohol policy. Your safety and the safety of our customers is our highest priority. As a professional operator, you must share this priority, be focused, be alert, and of course, be able to deliver a safe and drug-free experience for our customers. Your strict adherence to these policies is the only way we can keep making a difference. Thanks for being a part of the team. Safely driving a motor vehicle requires the full attention and focus of the driver. Distracted driving, defined as any non-driving activity that has the potential to distract you from your primary task of driving, has been found to be a factor in 80% of vehicle crashes. Additional statistics emphasize how serious a problem distracted driving is.
Drivers eating or drinking behind the wheel are 3.6 times more likely to be involved in a collision than the attentive drivers who are not eating or drinking while driving. Drivers talking on cell phones can miss seeing up to 50% of the environment around them, including pedestrians and red lights. Drivers talking on the phone or texting are 23 times more likely to be involved in a crash.
The serious impact of this issue has caused many states to establish laws against distracted driving. These states have instituted fines and potential prison time for those found guilty of driving while distracted. We all know certain things distract drivers every day, like adjusting the radio, texting, eating, and drinking, and so on. But what are some of the most common distractions for professional operators? Here are several. Talking with passengers. Communication equipment, such as your tablet, MDT, or radio. Route maps, route descriptions, and onboard schedule displays. Vehicle equipment and fare boxes. There are 3 types of distracted driving that you need to be aware of and prevent. Visual, which represents taking your eyes off the road. Manual includes taking your hands off the wheel. Cognitive, thinking about something else instead of concentrating on your driving. As a professional operator, you understand the critical importance of keeping your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel at all times. But you must also be aware of the many things that can distract you from focusing on driving in the safest manner possible. To safely accomplish your job, you need to stay continuously alert to avoid hazards. Here are two major issues that can cause distracted driving: multitasking and divided attention. Most people think of multitasking as the ability to do more than one task at a time and as a method of increasing productivity. But in reality, the human brain cannot do two things at the same time.
We can juggle different tasks very rapidly, and that may make us think we're doing two things at once, but we're actually switching our attention back and forth between those different tasks. You're really only performing one at a time. And because your brain is switching from one task to another, your reaction time slows down. That means you're not accomplishing either task with optimal focus or effectiveness.
Our ability to pay attention to more than one thing at a time has its limits, similar to the multitasking myth. When you divide your attention, the efficiency you do these actions with is decreased, and you will almost certainly perform poorly. An example of divided attention is talking on a cell phone while driving a vehicle. You perform both tasks at the same time, but you're doing them with divided attention.
By doing both at the same time, your brain is overloaded by incoming information. To handle that overload, your brain doesn't encode and store all of that information. Instead, your brain prioritizes some information for immediate attention and possible action and filters out the other information which doesn't become part of your short-term memory. As a result, you may not be consciously aware of the critical roadway information that's being filtered out. That filtering process results in your brain's inability to alert you to potentially hazardous situations. That's why critical warnings of navigation and safety hazards are missed when drivers are engaged in cell phone conversations, texting, or other distractions.
10 days ago, a Houston motorist veered into a flooded ravine. He and two others were able to get out, but 5 of his children drowned in the back seat. Police say a cell phone was involved.
Just one distraction can steal your reaction. Let's take a closer look at the 3 types of distractions: visual, manual, and cognitive. Visual distractions include anything that takes your eyes off the road. This can include looking at directions, such as your MDT or tablet, or glancing down at your phone. Whenever you take your eyes off the road, you increase your chances of having an accident. Things can change really fast. And if you are alert and constantly scanning, you'll be able to look, think, and plan. You need to always keep your eyes on the road and remember to change your point of focus every 2 seconds and check your mirrors every 5 to 8 seconds. If you need to read directions, safely pull over to do so. You should avoid reading your mobile data terminal or MDT or tablet while on the road. If you need to revisit information or receive additional trip information, wait until you're safely stopped to do so. Remember that multitasking is a myth. Let's take a look at how dangerous it is to take your eyes off the road.
When you're traveling at 30 miles per hour, you're covering roughly 44 feet per second. So that means that for every 1 second that you are distracted or not looking, you have just traveled 44 feet. Let's say that you take 5 seconds to look down at your phone and read a text. At 5 seconds, you would have just traveled 220 feet with no knowledge of what has just happened around your vehicle or in front of it. What if a pedestrian stepped out into the street at the last second? You wouldn't have seen them or have been able to react because you were distracted. And as we learned in our previous lesson on following distance, when you travel at higher speeds, you travel a greater distance. At 55 miles per hour, that same 5-second distraction is long enough to cover an entire football field with your eyes off the road.
Texting while driving is especially dangerous because it combines all three types of distractions. Why do we focus so much on the distractions caused by cell phones and other electronic devices? After all, what's the harm in looking down for a few seconds to send a text or answer a call? Here are the reasons why.
Using a cell phone delays your reactions just as much as a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08. This is the same as being legally intoxicated. Cell phone use has been shown to slow recognition and reaction time and has been determined to be a significant factor in many accidents.
On a busy Texas interstate, traffic up ahead is at a dead stop. You can see it, but the driver of this San Antonio City bus speeding down the road clearly had something else occupying his attention. Betty Jo Hummel was in the driver's seat of that SUV.
Here it comes. Oh my God, that's bad. It's horrible. It was the most horrific thing I've probably ever lived through.
With two disabled passengers strapped in behind him, why didn't the driver ever slow down? Take a look at what Adrian Perez was doing instead. He pulls out his cell phone and starts texting, and not just for a few seconds. For 6 minutes leading up to the crash, Perez was looking down, and when he finally focuses on the road, it's way too late. Now he's alert, and he knows he's in trouble.
Recent studies indicate that drivers using cell phones are more likely to run stop signs at four-way intersections and are more likely to be involved in rear-end collisions.
The bottom line is this. Using a cell phone while driving is incredibly dangerous and could cost you your life and possibly the lives of your customers. Not only is it prohibited by law, but you could be criminally charged for the act if you are involved in a serious accident while using your cell phone or other electronic devices, such as a smartwatch. That's why our agency and company prohibit the use of cell phones and other electronic devices while you're driving. It's a deadly distraction, and that's why it's prohibited as part of company policy. So remember, it could cost you your job. Every second matters, and you never want to have to say, I only looked down for a second. 1 second could be a deadly second. Our second type of distraction is manual distractions. This includes anything that requires you to take your hands off the wheel.
Both hands should be free to control the vehicle with both hands on the steering wheel at all times. Distractions such as eating, drinking, or grooming can divert your attention from driving safely. Be sure to follow these procedures. Turn your cell phone off and stow it away. Do not eat and drink. If you need to refer to your paperwork or trip information, do so when you are safely parked. Make all adjustments before driving, and do not reach for items while driving.
Our third and final distraction is cognitive distraction. This type of distraction doesn't necessarily require you to look away from the road or actively do something other than drive. Becoming mentally distracted happens when something affects your attention and concentration while keeping you from focusing on the road ahead. Have you ever driven somewhere and don't remember how you got there? Or have you driven a route so often that it becomes routine? Or you're mechanically going through the motions without paying attention? Such mindless driving is extremely dangerous and sets you up for an accident.
This is what we call inattention blindness and is an extremely dangerous hazard. This is when you see things, but you are not really seeing them and processing what is going on. Cognitive distractions can be caused by many things: multitasking or daydreaming, thinking about things other than driving, like upcoming activities, work issues, and responsibilities. Feelings and emotions such as anxiety, stress, fear, frustration, sadness, confusion.
To avoid cognitive distractions, you should avoid customer conversations or phone calls, even hands-free. Keep your mental state and emotions in check and stay focused on the road. Let's review customer interactions in a way that will help you avoid distractions. It's important to greet and interact with your customers as the professional delivering the service, but customer interactions can distract you from your primary task, safely performing your duties and safely operating your vehicle. Here are tips to follow when communicating with customers.
Try to avoid unnecessary communication with customers while driving or securing a mobility device. If a conversation cannot be avoided and you need to communicate with a customer, do so while maintaining your focus on the safe operation of the vehicle. Politely inform your customer that you need to stay focused right now and will answer their question when it's safe to do so. They will likely appreciate and respect that response. Anytime the conversation impacts safe driving, pull the vehicle off the road to finish the conversation.
Every time you drive, you have a personal responsibility to stay alert, and you know that it's never acceptable to drive distracted. You must always be aware of the dangers to everyone on your vehicle when you take your eyes off the road, your hands off the wheel, or your mind off driving defensively. Let's recap the tips for managing potential distractions before you start to drive.
Adjust your seat and then your mirrors. Make any needed adjustments to vehicle controls. If you must make adjustments while on your route, only do so after safely stopping your vehicle. Know your route and where you're going before you start to drive. Turn off your phone and put it away before you start to drive. Personal electronic devices, including cell phones, are prohibited unless for emergency purposes.
Let's review the techniques for managing potential distractions while you're driving.
Keep your eyes on the road. Use constant scanning techniques to make sure you see 360. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. When you take them off for any reason, you significantly reduce your ability to quickly respond to a hazardous situation. Never read, eat, drink, write notes, or engage in other activities that take your attention away from your driving. Never use a cell phone or other electronic device while driving. When you must communicate to dispatch on the radio, tablet, or MDT, ensure it's done in a safe manner. Always stop your vehicle in a safe location before using any of these devices. When referring to map directions or instructions necessary to perform your job, pull over and stop in a safe location to do so.
Always remember, your primary task is to safely operate your vehicle. Operating a transit vehicle is a challenging job. Not to mention, you're constantly surrounded by possible hazards. To safely accomplish your job, you need to avoid distracted driving and stay continuously alert to what's going on around you. And remember, distracted driving is deadly driving.
Thank you for joining us for the October 2022 safety meetings. Hope you enjoyed the videos. Please make sure you comment your name and your ID number in the comments. Otherwise, we cannot pay you. We want to make sure we take care of you for the time you've spent with us today. See you next time.